Hello, Alaskans and fellow YouTubers. This is the Frontier Friends. We're back again for the third or fourth time. I don't know. I don't even count. There's no reason to count. Just live it up. We're going to do something different today. We're going to tell you guys a story about me and James coming up and getting into trouble because, unlike current events, back then it was more of a free-spirited time and young time, lots of energy, lots of stupidity too. So, this one is called A Frontier Tale. So we're going to start off with James. We're going to go ahead and start the stuff, and let's have a good time here.
So I think it was like a Saturday night, if I remember correctly. We're in the winter, we're in Alaska, so it's cold and stuff, and there's plenty of snow on the ground. And we were in the neighborhood where there is a church, and the church and its parking lot. Church isn't really important, but we're at a church. There's a big parking lot, and it's surrounded in a neighborhood. And one thing to know is, like, because there's a lot of snow, they just push it all in one corner, and there's a big snow mound and everything. And there's a frontage road going like past the church that you can turn into and stuff, and then like continues into the neighborhood. So around the church parking lot are just the backyards of people's houses. So that's good to know. So take it away.
Yeah, great time, good stuff, good memory, good memory. I ain't been there in a minute. Pretty sure if I even tried to walk there, my knees would give out. No, James is right. We the area we were staying at there at the time being, because we were house sitting for somebody we trusted. This ain't the house didn't get torn up or nothing like that. But we're at the the Saturday night board night. We made our ways over to the church parking lot where they had pushed a little snow. I think anybody who doesn't know how it works when it snows up here in Alaska, but we get the city workers to get giant tractors, and they push the snow to the corner. So you have a big hill where kids can jump off, get into mischief, and do stuff, so on and so forth. We being as young as we were, being kind of stupid, youth lacks knowledge. So we decided we were going to hit cars as they drove by. Now, the reason we actually
hold on. So our crew at the time was myself, you, and we're like older teens, and my two younger brothers who were like, maybe like, I don't know, 7 and 10, we'll say, around those ages. So continue, man.
Yeah, they had more energy than we did. They had better endurance, because they're more active than we were. We usually stuck to playing Resident Evil 4 and eating pizza in the summertime. So that's one of those few chapters that we'll probably go to down the road. But the knowledge that we did gain from this is that we figured, being on a frontage road, how are they going to be able to do that? They have to keep going. They come all the way back around. So, hey, what's the worst that could happen? So we propped up behind a snowbank and we started popping cars, some of them weren't that bad, this and that. We're hitting some. Sometimes they would stop. They wouldn't say nothing. I think it was just a matter of confusion / panic because it was so dark out. It gets so dark and it's just the street lamps. Where we were, there were no street lamps. We were right propped between the snowbank and in between the current street lamp and the one that's further on. And in between those, you got about, I don't know. Let's just be fair and say 50 feet. 50 feet. Let's say that. And it's all going fun and good. We hear cars honking as they drive off. We see lights stopping. The lights come on, they stop, then they drive off. We're laughing, and it's just, and then of course, as you can anticipate, we came up to that one car. Maybe this guy was having a bad night. Maybe he was arguing with his wife. Maybe he was just grouchy. Who knows? That's not the point here. The point here is that when this guy got by, James,
we got a double hit.
Well, I got him on the lower part. However, James got him wherever he got him. It was really, really loud, heavy thud. And I remember you going, "Oh, that was a good one. That was a good one." I was like, I remember I heard you saying it, but at the same time, I'm looking at him, I'm watching, and I'm just like, oh, he's really slowing down. And all of a sudden, his lights went from red, and then those reverse lights popped on. And I was like, oh, well, there's a first time for everything, I guess. And you're like, I remember James saying, he's reversing. And I remember we had to run. Now, this is where the stupidity kicks in. we got to be a good 50, 60 feet off of where that snowbank is that the tractors push the snow to, because we ran all the way across. So at this point, we hear them reversing. We're sprinting across there, man. But mind you, once again, when snow gets in on your boots and it gets in your clothes, it weighs you down. So you lose endurance. So you're high kneeing it across the parking lot as fast as you can. When I tell you guys, it was literally like a bad dream, because you couldn't run as fast as you wanted to, for one, and for two, we can hear the engine accelerating. We can see the lights moving up on us. So just as we hear the car coming,
and that's the thing, you can see your shadow because there was fences. You can see your shadow running faster than you. That's the best thing. You're running, and you're like, "There's my shadow running faster than I am."
And that's when you know, you're like, man, this is a nightmare. You're supposed to be outrun this. Everything's going wrong. And I remember the other two of us, one hid behind the snowbank, and you and the other went towards the fence. You hit on the north side, he hit on the east side, and I ran around a wooden fence and just dropped. Now, I was just gassed. I had nothing left. I just laid there, just like, oh my goodness. And we can hear this guy in the background like, get out here, you little punks. And I remember he got back in the car and drove back around. And then I remember thinking, what are we going to do? As I'm doing, I remember seeing James and his brother running alongside the fence. And I was like, well, he's gone. And then, like, I remember seeing the other brother, and he's just disappeared. I'm like, this kid dug in. He must have dug in that snow hill, and he's just hiding up there waiting for his chance to escape. And I said, screw it, I'm out of here. So I hop the fence that I'm at. I finally get the energy. I catch my breath. I turn around, I jump the fence, and I'm running up the side of this person's yard. I don't even know who this is. Turns out it was a friend of ours that we did know, but it's still so dark. And as I'm running, I hear a dog start to bark, and I'm like, well, great. I jumped out of the pan into the fryer, basically. So I start high knee again. I burst out of energy again. All right, halfway up that guy's backyard, I'm out of gas. I'm just like, oh, man. But I can hear the dog coming, so all I do is I just dive headfirst over that front fence. Too. Say what?
It was a German Shepherd, too.
Man, it was a bad situation, man. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Maybe I shouldn't have did this. But I made it over there. I come out walking to the street over. I see you and your younger brother come up, and you're like, man, where's Rob at? You're like, I thought he left. I thought he made out.
We're standing in the front yard because we just cut across like a row of houses. Because my brother and I, we found one with a gate. And so we just crossed through that backyard. And we knew those people, and we just ran out into the next street over. And that's where our house was. And then you hopped a different person's fence, ran through that with the dog chasing you, hopped it, and then we were on the street over from that church, and we were regrouping. And then you remember what happens next?
Yeah, good. Hey, dude, once again, that's 2 for 2. Good memory, man. I'm like, man, I just blatantly remember diving head first and like rolling off of a trash can over that fence. Like I said, I had nothing left. I'm like, you need to dive. That's what happens. And like I said, when we got to that next street, we came together.
Yes.
For some reason, in both of our heads, maybe it was a matter of hope. Maybe it was just wishful thinking that we thought the other brother who was digging in, we thought he had beaten us. Turns out he was right behind me. And we turn around, we look at him, we said, what's going on? Like, I just left. I managed to get him to come to the other side, and I managed to run away and get around the fence and go all the way back around. I'm like, well, where's the guy? Like, he was just leaving as I was. Before this guy could even finish his sentence, we hear the engine
running towards us.
We hear the car accelerate. We see the headlights come up. We brake to the north. We brake north. We exit stage right. It was stage right for me. I think it was stage right for you. Anyways, we run in there. Me and you slide right behind the car.
Mm-hmm.
I think one brother dove in between the trash can and the house. The youngest brother,
So
The
let's put
youngest
some
brother.
context. Let's put some context. So we just arrived back at my house, and we're in our front yard, and we see my brother running across the street, and he's telling us they just left. As lights are coming up on him, as he's running, we're like, "What?" And we hear the engine of the car. We see the lights on. He's like, "They just left," and we're like, "Oh shoot!" And so you and I dive behind the parked car, a mom's
Oh man.
car, in the driveway. Rob decides, and my parents had a motorhome, and we're in a neighborhood, and there's not very much space. And so my parents somehow got this motorhome between like their fence, property line, and the garage, and there's barely any space for a garbage can. It's like wedged in there. And so my brother dives into that to hide behind. And my other brother, he dives in between. I don't know what he was thinking, but he dives between a closed shut door and like a screen door, trying to hide in between that. So it's like wedged open a little. And then you can take it away, man.
Man, that's when the guy caught the youngest one. He caught the youngest brother and the door and the screen door. It was so funny because he like what it was a bad dream for him because he was going in the house to hide. And the plot twist is gonna come here in about a couple of seconds. So the guy gets out of his car. Hey man, I see you there, kid. What are you doing? And he goes like, huh? What? Oh, I was wondering why you guys throwing stuff and breaking my window. Who's gonna pay for my window? I see your little friend over there, and we're thinking it's me and you he's talking about. So we're like, jig is up. We're about to get chewed out for it.
Yes.
And just before we get up, your other brother falls out.
The garbage can.
He's like, huh? He's like, who's gonna pay for my car? Who's gonna pay for my window? That's $200. And they just kind of look at each other. Say what?
He was like, where are the other guys at? Where the punks at? Where are the other guys? Because they're little kids, not capable of throwing snow like we were. And he saw us running, so he knows that there's two older kids. But go on.
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Like he was on to us. I think well, obviously I was wearing a bright red hoodie. So it's like nobody else was wearing a hoodie out there. We were wearing we had like we did, we were older, so we knew better what to wear. I mean, it's just, we were young teens, we were punks. And
we had hoodies on, they had snow pants and snow gear on.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, these kids are in better shape than we are, man, because we didn't have nothing crazy on. Mm-hmm. Yet we were still like winded after that sprint. But the guy was questioning him, he was hollering, this and that, and your brother just kind of played the dumb game, just what? Huh? What? And then he's got in the car and drove off. And I remember thinking when your brother fell from out of the trash can in the house, I literally was blown away. I was like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. Did that really just happen? And I was like, oh man. So I remember you're sitting there, you're not moving, you're looking at me, and I'm laying on the ground underneath the car. You're like behind it, like at an angle to where it looks like you're part of the car. And I remember just looking and like your two younger brothers played dumb. They were just kind of like, well, what? What's going on? What? And then he drove off.
Dumb, but like quiet. Like the guy couldn't even hear him. I couldn't even hear. It was just like, and my brother's like, hey, no, don't say anything. And it's just like, he just played like the silence, just like, it was just silence. And I just remember he was just like, he kind of was like, he said what he had to say, and he's just like, where your friends at? And they just like, huh? Like scared, but just like shock. And
I just kind of played that game where there's like, we don't know what to say. We're not supposed to say anything, but we probably should say something, but we're not going to say anything. And I just remember as soon as he drove off, like we're still out of breath, we're breathing hard, we're all just kind of sitting there staring at each other. As soon as we settle down, the door opens and your dad comes out. Hey guys, what's going on?
I mean, not even like 10 seconds maybe after the guy drives off, my dad opens the door, and I was like, I hope he doesn't come out. I just hope, because that'll be the one that busts us. My brothers are playing it cool, they're playing dumb, they're playing like quiet. As long as my dad doesn't come out, we're safe.
Yeah. And then right there, I remember he's like, hey guys, it's getting late, just make sure you're close to the house. And I remember you saying, oh yeah, we were out here playing tag, nothing, just played it off. He went back inside. We ran. I remember we ran to the place that we were chilling at because of, the prior reason. I remember, man, we just sat there and we just think, oh my goodness, that is epic,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, that is literally one of the first like crazy moments we had as like good friends when we were coming up. And man, but yeah, I mean, stuff like that is stuff we miss. Nowadays, due to prior circumstances and situations, you don't see that often. But this is, something that you get to reminisce about the good things. Coming up, being a knucklehead. And that's what I think. That's what the '90s were all about. The early 2000s, early mid 2000s to the late '90s. It's all about being a knucklehead for us, and that's just part of it. As long as you're not doing any real harm. I mean, I've had kids pelt my truck with a snowball the other day, and I'm just like, I had a kid actually pop my windshield. I mean, he hit the windshield, just busted off. It was just loud though. When I rolled my window down, I told him, I swear on my life, I told him, nice one. And he started laughing. I drove off, and I was just like, hey, my wife was just like, I'm like, they're being kids. Mm-hmm. They're being kids. What can he say? There's nothing they can do about it. I mean, it's what? You want me to go there and start beating the kid up? I mean, it's
right.
Just life was this and that, and good times. That doesn't happen anymore now. You got so much technology. Usually comes down to cyberbullying and trolling on the internet. That's your idea of entertainment. Back in the day, we were riskier. Oh, yeah. We were riskier. Definitely. But please like and subscribe. Put in the comments your crazy story so we can reminisce with us, man. Good times being a knucklehead back in the tough days.
Definitely. If you like these, give a thumbs up and we can do more of them, man.